everybody. We're in chapter 1.4 talking about chemical interactions. And last time we talked about chemical formulas. This time we're going to move on to section 1.4.2 and talk about chemical bonds. So our objectives today are to explain why atoms bond and to predict how atoms achieve a full valence shell, and describe the inner nature of noble gases. Inner means unreactive. So a chemical bond is a strong force of attraction that holds the atoms of a compound together. There are some elements that don't like to bond, though, and the group of elements least likely to react with other elements is the noble gases. That is group 8A or 18 on your periodic tables. The reason atoms bond is because they want to achieve a more stable state by having a full valence shell, an octet. And that is why the noble gases don't want to bond, is because they already have a full valence shell. They already have an octet. Remember when we did our electron dot diagrams, we put 8 paired electrons around them. And because a partially full valence shell is energetically unfavorable. It just means that atoms always want to be in the lowest energy state, and in order to be in that lowest energy state, it requires a full energy level, and so they would rather give up or gain electrons to have a full energy level than to keep those electrons that are making it so that it's energetically unfavorable. How they bond. Some atoms share electrons to achieve a full shell, and that's covalent bonding, and we're going to talk about that, how they share the electrons. So the electrons will be kind of in the middle, shared by both atoms and whizzing around them. Not necessarily in the middle, but whizzing around them. Other atoms transfer valence electrons, and this is called an ionic bond. Metals tend to donate electrons to have a full valence shell at a lower energy level and become positively charged. And nonmetals receive electrons and become negatively charged. Because remember, electrons have a negative charge, so if we lose them, the positive charge in the center of the nucleus from the protons takes over, but if we gain them, we have more negative charge. And then the opposite charges attract to hold the compound together. Okay, so our objectives for this were pretty fast today. Explain why atoms bond. They bond to gain an octet, a full valence shell. Otherwise, it just is not as favorable for them, and they always want to be at their lowest energy. We predicted how atoms achieve a full valence shell. They do that by sharing electrons or by losing or gaining electrons, and we described why the inert nature of noble gases, the fact that they have a full valence shell, so they don't want to bond with other things. So your 5 questions. And I'll be back with more about these types of bonds, these covalent and ionic bonds.